So recently I've had some questions about how to use appointment slots within Google Calendar to set up one-on-one support for students, especially as we're in a more virtual setting over summer school. So we're going to set that up through Google Calendar on your regular calendar page. I've got a lot of my other calendars shut off just so this is a little bit streamlined. And this is going to look very similar at this point to how you would create just an event in Google Calendar. So I'm going to choose the time and the day where I want a particular slot of appointments or a time frame where appointments are going to be housed just by clicking in any of those spaces. So this is going to be our demo of appointment slots. Instead of event, like as if I was scheduling a meeting, I'm going to click over on appointment slots. And here you can make adjustments in terms of how long you want those slots to be available, as well as if you want that to be a single slot or a slot with duration. I think the slots with duration is most helpful because I can say during this period of time, I want 30-minute appointments, and Google is going to arrange that all on the back end. You're going to select whatever calendar you want that attached to. For most people, that's going to be their calendar within Google Calendar. I've got a number of them set up just so I can kind of quiet the background noise and we can focus on what it is that we're setting up. So I'm going to keep this on Teacher Support Park. And when I click Save, I know that this is an appointment slot section because of this little 4 square that's up in the top left corner. So how do we push this out and make it available to students? As you were setting this up, you could add guests here, and that's going to send something out to those specific people. I don't always think that that's necessarily realistic when we're just looking for this to be sort of a drop-in extra help sort of situation for kids, especially during our summer school unique setting. So I think an easier way to do that is to actually click over into the appointment page for this calendar. And this can be uploaded onto a class website. You can share this out in a number of different ways. The easiest, though, I think, is just to share the URL. So once you click over into that Go to Appointment page for this calendar, this will show up. And you're going to come up to the URL and you're just going to copy that URL. So I did a Control-C. And what you're seeing down here is most similar to what a student would see. So if a student is using their Google Calendar, they may or may not have certain events already on here that'll give them an idea of when they're already committed to something, and maybe if, in this case, when something overlaps those appointment slots that you've made available. So this would not be something that I would sign up for if I was a student going to sign it up for an appointment because it overlaps prior commitment. So just to see what this would look like, if a student is to click on one of those appointment slots, this would be the student name. I'm kind of acting as student and teacher at the same time, so that's a little misleading. I did not, on the teacher end, set up a particular location. So it gives the student an option to type something in there. Don't necessarily know that they will. And students can, if they choose, type in a description of what they want to talk about. That's certainly not necessary, but just know that those may be things that you see depending on the student that is signing up for that particular appointment. When the student clicks Save, it's going to take that appointment slot off of your Google Calendar appointments page, so nobody can double book. And it's also going to, if we come back over here to my calendar, show me that Joanna Borchert, the student, has booked an appointment during this particular time. So it puts it on my calendar as a teacher as well as the student's calendar. The one thing that you'll have to do as a teacher is as these appointment slots get filled is you would have to come back in here to the one that's assigned to that particular student, go to edit, and add a Google Meet so that there is a place for you and that student to actually sit down and have that conversation. And you can either send or not send that, leave a message, send a message to that student or not. That's completely up to you. Just because it's a demo, I'm going to click Don't Send. So now when I click here, I see my Join with Google Meet. So now how do we push this out to students in an easy way? And one thing that came up in conversation was, how do I embed this calendar, or how do I put a link to this calendar within my email signature itself? So every communication, every opportunity that I have that I'm talking back and forth with a student in a virtual setting, we have this constantly communicated, constantly available. So from the appointments page itself, I'm going to do a Control-C. All I did was copy that URL. When I come back to my Gmail, and there's my teacher email that somebody took one of those appointment slots, so you get that as a notification as well. I'm going to come to Settings, and I'm going to go to, let's see, my signature. So it's under General, and you're going to scroll down quite a bit. It's kind of a tiny box, but you'll get the idea. And you can simply type in here the schedule an appointment, or click here to schedule an appointment, or however you want that to look. Highlight this just as if it was a Google Doc or a Google slide. Click the link button down at the bottom, and I'm going to do Control-V. That will put that URL to that appointment page right in here. And if I want to test that out, I can click Test that link just to double check and make sure it's going to bring me to my appointment page, which it does. I'm going to click OK, and then make sure that you scroll all the way down from your settings side and click Save Changes. I'm not going to do that since I already have my coach calendar shared in that way. So for me, I'm going to cancel that out. So now anytime that you email a student in your signature, you're going to have that appointments link down in your signature, and they will have that at their disposal. This link can also be shared out in Google Classroom. So just like you would share a link to any other web page, you can copy that URL and make a post, material post perhaps in Google Classroom that says, here's the link to our class appointments page. If you need one-on-one support, have questions, need help, please make sure to make an appointment. And it's the same process. The student will click that. They'll have their options for appointments, and they'll be able to make that time between student and teacher to get their needs met.